Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim sarasvatim vyasam tatojam udirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should first offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayan, to Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, and to Mother Sarasvati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshva bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavat yutamashloke bhaktir bhavati naistiki. We're studying Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 5, entitled Vidura's Talks with Maitreya. We're on text 22, Chapter 5, Canto 3. It's June 24th, 2023. Ata te Bhagavat Lila Yogamaya Guru Primhita Vishva Stiti Udbhava Anta Artha Varnayami Anupurvasha Atate Bhagavalila Yogamayo Brimhitam Vishvastit Yud Bhavantarta Varnayam Yanu Purvasha Atate Bhagavalila Yogamayo Brimhitam Vishvastit Yud Bhavantarta Varnayam Yanu Purvasha Atate Bhagavalila Yogamayo Brimhitam Vishvastit Yud Bhavantarta Varnayam Yanu Purvasha Atate Bhagavalila Yogamayo Brimhitam Vishvastit Yud Bhavantarta Varnayam Yanu Purvasha. Would someone online like to chant the verse? Text 22, Chapter 5, Canto 3. Okay, we'll go to the word meanings. Ata, therefore. Te, unto you. Bhagavat, pertaining to the personality of Godhead. Lila, pastimes. Yogamaya, energy of the Lord. Uru, greatly. Brimhita, extended by. Vishva, of the cosmic world. Stiti, maintenance. Udbhava, creation. Anta, dissolution. Artha, purpose. Varnayami, I shall describe. Anupurvasha, systematically. Translation. I shall therefore describe to you the pastimes by which the personality of Godhead extends his transcendental potency for the creation, maintenance, and dissolution of the cosmic world as they occur one after another. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. The omnipotent Lord, by his different energies, can perform anything and everything he likes. The creation of the cosmic world is done by his Yogamaya energy. Om Gana Timirandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Anmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayamupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Saganaragnatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Varijana Sahitan Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Badan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radhakanta Namostute Tapta Kanchan Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Panchakalpata Yubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vyevacha Patitanan Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta-vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Prestaya Bhutale, Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine, Namaste Sarasvati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 5, Text 22. Atate Bhagava Lila Yogamayo Rubrimita Vishvasti Yud Bhavantarta Varnayam Yanupurvasha. I shall therefore describe to you the pastimes by which the Supreme Personality of Godhead extends his transcendental potency for the creation, maintenance, and dissolution of the cosmic world as they occur one after another. It's a very short purport, 2 sentences, so I'll read it again. The omnipotent Lord, by his different energies, can perform anything and everything he likes. The creation of the cosmic world is done by his Yogamaya energy. Okay, so we have Maitreya. I mean, till now, Maitreya he's appreciating Vidura after Vidura asked questions. And now in this verse, Maitreya is kind of summarizing what he's about to do. Sometimes it's said, if we're going to speak, summarize what you're going to do, then do it, and then say what you did. So now Vidura will speak for about 59 chapters through cantos 3 and 4. And his summary here, he's talking about the creation of the material energies in universe. I shall therefore describe to you the pastimes by which the personality of Godhead extends his transcendental potency for the creation, maintenance, and dissolution of the cosmic world as they occur one after another. And we'll see that in this chapter, upcoming chapters, and certainly in the final several chapters of Canto 3, when Maitreya narrates of Lord Kapila Dev speaking to his mother Devahuti, there's lots about Sankhya, the material creation. It goes into it as much as probably more than anywhere else in the Bhagavatam or in all the Vedas, the details of creation. So we can note here some very interesting, maybe particularly pertinent, some particularly pertinent terms. So he says, I shall therefore describe to you the pastime. So the word lila Leela means pastimes. Okay, so when we hear pastimes, of course, just in the ordinary sense, pastimes is like our play, that which we don't need to do typically. Yes, well, I have to go to work, but once a month on weekends, I go camping, I play golf. These are my pastimes. I don't have to do them. Okay. So when we think of Krishna's pastimes, we'll generally think of like dancing with the gopis and playing with the cowherd boys. So, but here, Maitreya is very clear. No, this is Krishna's Leela, the whole creation, maintenance, and dissolution of the cosmic world. And then Maitreya goes on. I shall therefore describe to you the pastimes by which the personality of Godhead extends his transcendental potency. So again, that term transcendental. Transcendental means not influenced by the material modes of nature. Okay. Extends his transcendental potency for the creation, maintenance, and dissolution of the cosmic world as they occur one after another. All right. So this whole material universe, this is Krishna's pastimes too. All right. So let's understand that in helpful perspective. So I'm reminded, in reading this, I'm reminded of Bhagavad Gita. It's a well-known verse, chapter 7, text 14. Devyesha gunamayi mama maya dhiratyaya mame vaye prapadyante mayam etam tarantite. Krishna says there, this material energy is very, very difficult to overcome, practically impossible. But if one takes shelter in me, then you can easily surpass the material energy. The example given in the Vedas, cited often by Srila Prabhupada, is like, as good of a swimmer we think we are, we're not going to cross the Pacific Ocean. But then by taking shelter of Krishna, then the whole Pacific Ocean, it condenses into the amount of water like in the hoof print of a calf. Okay, so we can easily go over that, not by our own power, but through surrendering. Then we get empowered and to be stronger than material nature. And another example, just like a ship on the ocean. So the ship could be very mighty and very powerful, but if its engines are turned off, then even a little tugboat, if its engines are turned off, then even a little tugboat can drag it around the ocean. So we are like the big ship there, and the tugboat is the three modes of nature. So aparayam itastramyam prakritim vidimedram jiva bhutma baho yayedam dharitejam. So that the spirit soul, that's the big ship, that's us, we're superior to the material energy. But engines turned off means we're not alive in self-realization, in turning towards the Supreme Personality of Godhead with the spirit of devotion. Then the material energy becomes more powerful than us. Okay. So Krishna says, Devyesha gunamaya. So Krishna is that in that verse of Bhagavad Gita, we're speaking here, right now we're talking on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 5, Text 22, and we're referencing Bhagavad Gita 7.14. Krishna says, Devyesha. He says this material energy, Devi means divine, right? Devi means divine, demigod, deva. So Krishna is talking about his superior spiritual energy. So it can seem confusing. Well, we thought it's the material energy, but Krishna is saying, oh, this material energy is divine too. Now, because it's all Krishna's pastime. Now that can seem rather trite and superfluous. It's all pastime. My whole life, it's my pastime. Malini's chuckling in the kitchen. I don't know why. No, this is a very important distinction. So this whole material energy, this whole material world, creation, maintenance, dissolution, it is all Krishna's pastime, Vishnu's pastime. But that doesn't mean it's our pastime. Okay. Because pastime means free choice, So for us, this entanglement For this is material energy. For Krishna, it's deviation, it's yogamaya, right? So from Krishna's point of view, and the point of view of the pure devotee, like Srila Prabhupada or Jesus, it's all spiritual. It's all spiritual because Krishna, he has this pastime to bring conditioned souls like us towards his pastimes to frolic in Goloka Vrindavan, with the cowherd boys and the gopis and the elderly gopas and in Govardhan Hill and the Yamuna River. So Krishna's like, yeah, come on, this is all spiritual process. But from our point of view, this energy is material. This energy is material. It's not my pastime because I'm entangled in the modes of nature. So I'm forced to take birth and defend my ego and identify with the body and grow old and then death and then forced to take another birth to fulfill the desires, the separatist desires. Okay. So for us, the whole material thing, that's not pastime, but it's designed by Krishna and Vishnu in the pure devotees. It's designed ultimately to support us, to return to our original pastime nature, to our original nature where every step is a dance and every word is a song. Okay, to return to that place where there's everything is blissful play in relation with Krishna. I'm reminded also right in the first verse of the 14th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So Krishna, and then Prabhupada in the purport. So the 14th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, it's entitled The Three Modes of Material Nature. It's about material nature. And then Krishna says there, he says, this knowledge here, this is superior knowledge to anything before. Now, Krishna already, like in the 12th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, he spoke about devotional service. 9th chapter, Rajavidya, Rajaguyam, Pavitram Idamuttamam, Prajakshavagamam Dharmyam, Shushukam Kartumavyam. Krishna speaks about this is the king of all knowledge. So how is the knowledge about the modes of material nature? So one understanding of that is because this knowledge about material creation, this is meeting us where we're at. This is meeting us where we're at. We can say, what's the most important rung on a ladder? Say, well, the top rung. Well, maybe. Or we can say the most important rung is right where I'm putting my hand now. So Maitreya here, he's about to go, again, we say, in a sense, he's going to go on for another 59 chapters, expanding on this verse. So Maitreya, he's talking about material creation, maintenance, and dissolution. He's giving a summary of what he's about to speak on. And he's making it clear, this is a pastime of the Lord, right? This is through his transcendental potency. And so Maitreya is connecting matter with spirit. And that's how to spiritualize. That's how to spiritualize matter. We can speak, let's make the world spiritual. What's that actually mean? So we can take this, and just like all of us in our lives, we're interacting with various material potencies, whether our own body, relationships, we have our professions. There's a text spoken by Narada Muni in the Bhagavatam, idam hi pumsas tapasa shutasya suktasya suktasya chabudi dateo avichuturta kavibir nirupito yad utamashloka gunanu varnanam. So Narada Muni there, and then Prabhupada in the purport, and they're talking, Prabhupada talks specifically about chemistry, politics, social work, social services, psychology, science, physics, all the human endeavors. So that's material. No, not if we connect them, as Maitreya is connecting apparently material topics and energy with the with spiritual source. So the idea is, no, engage whatever our talents, our propensities, our professions, our craft, engage that in the service, in the service of in bhakti. Then that's how we spiritualize our lives. We spiritualize our senses. Atashri Krishna Namadi, Nabhaved Graham Indriya, Sevan Mukhi, Jivida, Svayameva, Sparatyada. That's how we spiritualize the world, by relating everything to eternal source. An example Prabhupada gives is like a tree. In the metaphor, the tree is like eternal, because like say a tree could live for thousands of years. But then the fruits and flowers might exist for a few days. Okay. And and the fruits come and go and like that. But in the metaphor, the tree is the eternal source. The tree is the eternal source. So the tree, that's the soul, that's us. That's us. And then our bodily manifestations, right? So the soul is actually timeless, eternal. So this manifestation called David Wolf for a few decades, okay, then and there's been other manifestations in so many species with so many names and designations. So that's like the fruits. So to really support ourselves, to do true welfare work, true help, means we're supporting people to identify as the tree. So like, and okay, so matter is not the source of spirit. Matter is a byproduct of spirit, just as the trees, the fruits and the flowers. Okay, they're byproducts of the tree. So the ultimate tree of existence, yata taruam mulani shechanena, that's supreme spirit. That's Vasudev, super soul, and even the source of super soul is Krishna. Sarvasya Jaham Vidisa Nivisto. There's a text in Bhagavad Gita. No, Brahma Samhita. Eko Pyasara Chaitum Jagaranda Koti. Yach Chaktirasti Jagaranda Chayayaranda. Andantarasta Paramanu Chayantarastam Govindamadi Pusham Tamaham Bhajami. So that's Lord Brahma, the chief engineer of the universe. And he's saying like, yeah, he's just like Maitreya saying here. He's saying here that Krishna Govinda is in his Vishnu forms. He's the super soul of the metacosmos and the macrocosmos. And he's also the super soul in the heart of all living entities and in every atom. Andantarasta, Paramanu Chantarasta. I was listening to a lecture recently, and Prabhupada, he was breaking it down. He said Paramanu, he says atoms. So Prabhupada speaking there in the 60s or 70s. And Prabhupada saying, he says, okay, now they say you can the atoms is made of parts, and Prabhupada was talking about electrons and protons. And he goes, okay, so what? He said, but it was right. It was very prophetic. He said, but you can break down the electrons and protons, and you'll find something. And now at that time they wouldn't know, but now they have the quarks and the neutrinos and whatever it is. So he said, but you can keep breaking down. You can keep breaking down. You can keep breaking it down. And whatever you think is the smallest, Krishna is there. Krishna is there. Krishna is the life force. Krishna is smaller than the smallest and greater than the greatest. So, okay. So this is also I was hearing from Srila Prabhupada several times shares that when he was a small child, he would use the term gramophone, like an old-fashioned record player from more than 100 years ago. So when that would be like the early 1900s. He was a small child. His conclusion is there's a little man in that box singing. Okay. Or he said there would be a fan. You're saying there must be a little man twirling the fan. So the point is like, okay, that's intelligence, to understand to understand the box isn't singing just on its own, and the fan isn't twirling just on. No, there's a conscious intelligence behind it. There's a conscious, intelligent person behind it. Okay, and yeah, and like other species, a cat or a dog or a squirrel, they won't get that there's a conscious intelligence behind the automobile. Okay, but as humans, we get there's only in the human form can we get there's a conscious intelligence, and we can get. But sometimes it's like, oh well, who created God? But in one sense, where's like such a question, such a statement, it kind of makes it grammatically makes sense, but it's really gibberish. Sort of like saying like, okay, well, the top floor on the building is the 15th floor. What's the floor above the top floor? Okay, so grammatically in English, that question makes sense, but it's gibberish because top floor is defined as that floor above which there is no other floor. So the floor above the top floor, it's a nonsense combination of words. So just like we mentioned, okay, so this is, okay, so here's a computer, right? So we understand that, okay, Mr. Dell, I assume there was a Mr. Dell or Bill Gates, Mr. Dell or Bill Gates, they're not inside this computer, right? They created the computer means they existed before this computer existed, and they exist outside the space of the computer, right? So it means that the source, the creator of the material energy exists outside of the time that runs material energy, and that it's the time factor that moves the modes, and their existence is not trapped within the 9 dots of the material energy. They exist transcendental, as Maitreya uses that term here. So when Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that, yeah, this knowledge about the 3 modes of nature, this is superior, Prabhupada often emphasizes that, okay, all of Krishna's pastimes are transcendental, and arguably the pastimes related to the creation, maintenance, and dissolution of the cosmic world, arguably it's even more important for us than Krishna dancing with the gopis and Goloka and Vrindavan and like that, because again, it directly supports us to see how I'm entangled in material nature and how I can liberate myself from it. So, yeah, okay. So this whole thing of like, so that there's a conscious source. We were just reading this morning before japa, aham sarvasya prabhavo mata sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvita. Krishna is the source of all spiritual and material energies. So we are conscious entities, and we are made of consciousness, and we are conscious. The spirit soul is conscious, and it's made of consciousness. It's made of such Chidananda, eternity, consciousness, bliss. Just like the light is light, and it is illuminating. We are conscious. We are consciousness, and so this consciousness, our consciousness, the consciousness behind all of creation, supreme consciousness, it's, well, one thing is that it exists, right? We can't get rid of it. Even if someone says, I don't believe in consciousness. Oh, tell me more. Who is this person who's saying, I don't believe in consciousness? Who is this person moving their lips and saying, I don't believe in consciousness? It's a conscious person. We just can't get around it. And it's irreducible. It's irreducible to any sort of reductionistic, deterministic, mechanistic explanation. Someone could say it's not irreducible. It's an epiphenomenon that when matter combines, then consciousness arises. Krishna deals with that in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita. There's a set of 3 verses. Krishna specifically deals with the epiphenomenon, with the fallacies of the epiphenomenon philosophy. So, okay, well, so then that's simple, because science means it's not just some fantasy or like I believe. Then okay, combine matter and create something conscious. If creating like a human being is too much, create a mosquito. Do it. No one's ever done it. No one's ever done it, because consciousness is not reducible. It's not an epiphenomenon. Again, matter is not the source of life, the source of consciousness. Matter is a byproduct of life, of consciousness. So there's a text in the 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Vitaraga Bhaya Krodha Manmaya Mamu Pashuta, Bhavo Gyanatapasa Putamad Bhava Magata. And Krishna says, those who are free from attachment, fear, and anger achieve great love and joyful service to me, and they come to me. In the purport, Prabhupada describes the mentality of different types of philosophies that, he describes the psychology of different types of psychologies that reject bhakti. So certainly, related to that verse. So there's the idea of rejecting consciousness as an entity or as an irreducible entity, rejecting supreme consciousness, despite rationally, right? Rationally, we gave the example of a Dell computer or a gramophone, to use Prabhupada's word, gramophone. And or any machine, we know. It didn't just form from the wind blowing, but there's intelligence. So it makes sense that when there's a higher, much higher level of organization, rotation of the planets, veins of the leaf, must be a much higher intelligence than behind the Dell computer, right? And so, so the idea is, oh well, there was a Big Bang. Now we can take the Vedic description. And we can say, okay, Big Bang is true. It's quite sophisticated, as we're going to read in the next years. It's quite sophisticated. We got into it a bit in cantos 1 and 2. It's quite sophisticated, but you can say, yeah, there was just like this dark amorphous blob, Mahatattva, Pradhan, and then it unfolded into all this form and structure, all these fruits of the material forms. Okay, just like there was a Big Bang, and then Shakespeare's sonnets emerged. All right, but behind the Big Bang, you have consciousness. You have the supreme. We could say that in, let's say, modern materialistic, reductionistic, empiricist, empirical scientific philosophy, that we could say consciousness is the missing piece, but it's more than that. It's not just consciousness is the missing piece. Consciousness is the missing foundation. It's the foundation of everything. All of matter forms around consciousness, starting with supreme consciousness and arca, right? It's not an accident. We're in this particular body, right? We're in this particular body. We have a particular type of residence. We have a particular type of material mind and a particular, all aspects of life. Our consciousness, the spirit soul is like a magnet and attracts matter around it according to the quality of our consciousness or lack of quality of our consciousness. And by transforming the quality of our consciousness, we get to transform matter into spirit. That's called, the science of that is called bhakti. So, Yeah. So the idea is to deny consciousness, to deny a supreme source, supreme intelligence. That there's envy there. There's envy there because yeah, like in other words, like in intelligence or fame or attractiveness or in all of the strength or renunciation or in all of the qualities, that like, okay, yeah, maybe I this one is more than me, but if someone just like the idea of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, just infinitely more beyond what I can conceive, then I want to shut down that possibility. So I'll develop philosophies to do it. Okay, so that just like in the third canto coming up, a few chapters, we'll have like the Varaha Dev pastime with Hiranyaksha. The idea is Hiranyaksha. He wanted to destroy the personality of Godhead with a club. Okay, so it's the same thing. So I want to destroy the personality of Godhead with clever philosophies. That's the idea. Okay, that's the idea. And so now we can say like in Vaishnavism, in Bhakti, okay, because like in different, whether it's voidist paths, and you might say a sort of Buddhistic voidism is, we understand that Buddha is an empowered incarnation of Krishna. He had a particular mission. We're not planning to go there in this class, but he gave some particularly deliberately misleading philosophy, like kind of modern mechanistic reductionistic. The idea is like really at the core there's either atoms or nothing. So all these things are in different forms of ancient philosophy. Buddhistic at the core is nothing, and then there's the non-personal, impersonal, where the idea is, well, at the core there's the oneness, the white light. There's some truth to that, but the idea is like, let's take away this conception that there's like a supreme person that I need to surrender to. And if I want to still call it spiritual, then there'll be the white light, something like that. So in bhakti, in true bhakti, we can't do that, because the idea is that the whole goal, the journey and the goal, is to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead through the pure devotee, Srila Prabhupada. Now, of course, a way to try to get around that in bhakti, because the idea is a way to try to get around that in bhakti, to still be a bhakti yogi, is to be guru. Right? So because Prabhupada would say, like, to want to merge into God is the last snare of Maya. And then in bhakti, the idea is like, yeah, we serve, we worship the spiritual master. We're talking about the spiritual master in the singular. Okay, is a spiritual master in the singular, as good as God, as non-different from the personality of Godhead. So just putting that out there. Okay, so that's a way to want to be guru. That's a way that kind of like envious mentality that Maya, the devil, can try to trick one on the path of bhakti. Okay, oh, that's how I get to be the supreme in the bhakti path. So it can be a razor's edge, of course. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu emphasizes Yare Dekatare Ka Krishna Upadesh Amara Agyai Guru Hanatara Adesh. He wants everyone, just in the simple sense, he wants everyone to be guru, to be teacher. Kiba Vipri, Kiba Nyasi, Suja Kene Naya. Ye Krishna Tattva Veda Se Guru Haya. He says, whatever one's position in society, you're woman, man, old, elderly body, young body, from this race, from this part of the world, whatever your occupation, become expert in the, get to know the science of Krishna, yea, Krishna Tattva Veda, say Guru Haya, and be Guru, and be Guru. So we're all meant to share Krishna consciousness. And in that way, whether it's with someone in the post office or people with whom we live under the same roof, to follow in the footsteps of Maitreya and Vidura here, and to share the science of Krishna, any aspect of Prabhupada's books. And of course, we get more and more realization about how to transform matter into spirit in our occupation, in our relationships, in our speech, and everything. The more we follow the process, the more realization from Krishna in the heart we get about how to transform matter into spirit. Yes, that So the more we're studying Bhagavatam, the more we're chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And this is important because to the extent that we're misidentifying ourselves with matter, Bhayam Dvitiya Binidesha Tasya, we'll be insecure and we'll be in anxiety. And so the more we follow, it is, as the common saying goes, if we're only willing to do what's easy, life will be hard. If we're ready to do what's hard, life will be easy. So it can be relatively hard for the material mind and senses to follow the regulative principles, rise early, engage in morning program, commit to a minimum number of rounds per day and follow that, even though, I have this to do, that to do. So we're willing to do that, and then our life is easier and easier because we're entering into transcendental pastime, even within this body. That we don't need to wait till the body dies, then go to heaven. It's not that sort of process. Within this body, we get to experience the bliss of transcendental pastime. So we don't need to wait, and it's not a cheap process. And so, to use some terminology Prabhupada uses, we get to be what's called Siksha Gurus, and by encouraging and supporting people, whether it's through sharing philosophy, engaging in kirtan, prasadam, distributing prasadam, we get to support people to connect with Srila Prabhupada as their current and direct link to the disciplic succession. The Sanskrit term would be the Diksha Guru, to connect with Srila Prabhupada. And Srila Prabhupada, as a pure devotee of Krishna, he's a transparent via medium, meaning there's no tinge of any material mode of nature, to no tinge of any propensity to enjoy being appreciated or served, or no envy of Krishna. Everything is humbly transparent. And so we get to dedicate our lives with Prabhupada in the center. That's non-different than putting Sri Krishna in the center. I'll read the text again. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 5, Text 22. Atate Bhagaval Lila Yogamayo Rubrim Mihita Vishvasti Yud Bhavantarta Arnayam Yanupurvasham. Maitreya speaking to Vidura, I shall therefore describe to you the pastimes by which the personality of Godhead extends his transcendental potency for the creation, maintenance, and dissolution of the cosmic world as they occur one after another. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for your attention to Srimad Bhagavatam. I welcome any comments or questions.
percussionist technique of it.
Okay, well, okay, let's see where we go.
Well, I'd like to hear more about the Yoga Maya energy because often I read that about the material world and material pastimes.
Yeah,
And what's the role of the Yoga Maya energy?
okay, right.
I'd like to hear more.
All right.
So the way, the Yoga Maya is defined is the energy that keeps the devotees from seeing the Lord.
Right.
So that's, yeah.
Okay.
If you could speak on that.
Yeah, well, it does get technical, and there is more in Prabhupada's books, but I don't, for the most part, I don't have it at the forefront of my consciousness. But basically, we hear Yoga Maya so Maya means illusion, and Yoga Maya is an illusion that deepens one's realization of love for Krishna, connection with Krishna. So Mother Yashoda is in Yoga Maya. Okay. And that illusion, she thinks, like, I have to protect Krishna and he's going to be stolen by this whirlwind demon. But that Maya deepens her love for Krishna. That's different than Mahamaya, which is typically we hear that's illusion that increases our forgetfulness of who we are, spirit, soul, servant of Krishna. So that's the basic definitions, but they're not the whole picture. They're not the whole picture. So, so we can also hear like this whole Mahamaya, it's kind of like a subset of Yoga Maya. That's why when the creation of the cosmic world is done by his Yoga Maya energy. So meaning, again, from Krishna's point of view, everything's spiritual. Also, we can understand Maya. Maya means illusion, but again, I'm not a Sanskrit scholar, but Maya means compassion. So this is like this whole material world. It's Krishna's great compassion. It's Krishna's great compassion. So what we know is Yoga Maya. We hear about that one function to create illusion that moves one close to Krishna, but it has other meanings too. The other meanings might be related, but it has other meanings too. Maya means compassion. So this is like yogic compassion. And so Yoga Maya has much broader functions and definitions than the one that we're most accustomed to.
In a verse, it said, it probably the translation is transcendental potency because it's part of the second line, Yoga Maya. And in the word for word, it says Yoga Maya, energy of the Lord.
Yeah.
And here it says, is transcendental potency. So he extends his transcendental potency for the creation, maintenance, and dissolution of the cosmic world. Maybe that means also that the Lord, it doesn't mix with any material energy.
Yeah.
So it's really for us to understand again that is transcendental energy. So we are not separated from his transcendental energy. Even so, as long as we are in Maya, in illusion ourselves, we don't get in touch with his Yoga Maya. We only get in touch with his Mahamaya. Because it's his transcendental energy and there is no mixing anywhere.
Yeah, no mixing.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
I'm wondering what that means.
Yeah,
it's often come in a Krishna book also.
Yeah.
With Yoga Maya, but not about that, like when it speaks about creation, and it's always something that I'm curious about.
Yeah. So, okay, thanks for that. And transcendental means no mixing with the modes of nature. That's from Krishna's experiential perspective.
But then it extends transcendental energy for the creation, maintenance, and dissolution of this world. So that's mean that really it's transcendental energy.
Yeah.
And
but I just don't have realization.
Mahamaya.
Yeah.
That I don't need that transcendental energy, but it's very possible. It's very possible, yeah. As soon as I take the veil of Mahamaya away, the clouds clear.
Yeah.
And then the sun is always there.
Yeah.
Wow.
Thanks for that. Yeah. I like that analogy. Right. All this energy is transcendental, but because I'm in Mahamaya, I'm not realizing that it's transcendental.
Yeah.
So, right. So I like that analogy. We can say, oh, the sun is covered by clouds. No, that's just my tiny perspective. That's false, really. Right. The clouds are very minuscule. They're practically insignificant compared to the sun. In fact, the sun creates the clouds through evaporation of the oceans. Now, from my tiny perspective, my tiny vision is covered by the clouds. And so based on my covering, I think, oh, the sun's not out today. The sun's out, but my tiny vision's covered by the clouds. And so even that material Maya, it's created by the son of Krishna. And I'll just expand a bit. Krishna svadamo pagate dharma jnana hibisaha kalo nasham jishamesha pornoko dunodita. That's a verse from the Bhagavatam, about the Bhagavatam, that the Bhagavatam in this age, it's meant to be like the sun. Like
it's also
more Yogamaya, yeah, more brilliant than the sun, and it's the light for this age. It's the light for this age to take us beyond the clouds. The Bhagavatam.
An extension of those transcendental images. It's an extension of Yoga.
Extension of the transcendental energy. Yes. I appreciate the discussion. Other comments or questions?
I was thinking when you were speaking about the ocean.
Yeah.
And swimmer in the ocean.
Swimmer, yeah.
And you also spoke about Srila Prabhupada. I was thinking like, yeah, I don't know if there is other solid boats.
Right.
But I don't need to know.
Yeah. Yes.
Because I know that Srila Prabhupada's Lotus Suite.
Solid boat, yeah.
Is a solid boat that take across, not simply across, because there is many boats that can take you across, but when you're across, you don't even know what to do.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And so you're not saved even there.
Yeah.
But take you across and then kind of give you a full life on the other side of the ocean.
Yeah.
And I don't know if there is also boat who can do that.
Yeah.
And I don't need to know.
Yeah.
Because if I need to cross the ocean, I just need one.
Just need one, yeah.
You want to tell the company.
Yeah, thanks for that expansion on that part of the class. Yeah. So now someone might be sincerely searching for, but oftentimes, because like Srila Prabhupada is definitely 100% secure boat. So oftentimes it's like, yeah, but what about this one? Yeah, it's not for me. I don't know how advanced they are, how pure. Oftentimes, what about this one? What about this one? My experience is a lot of the psychology could be basic.
I want to cross the ocean.
Yeah, I don't want to surrender, but in the name of looking like, what about this one? What about this one? Like that. So it's just like a way to avoid. And also by what about this one? What about this? There could be others. It also opens the door for me to be the boat for you.
The boat for myself.
Yeah, but also for others. It can support my guru complex. Okay, like if I can somehow take Prabhupada out of the picture, maybe respectfully, maybe not respectfully, it supports me, to be my own guru, and also to play that, to try to play that absolute position for others. This is a psychology I've witnessed on occasion. And then sometimes just, what about this one? Well, there's a there's a follower of Prabhupada who lives in Gainesville. This is a fairly well-known conversation. It's in the book, Perfect Questions, Perfect Answers. Yeah. So Brahmatirtha, I think he was Bob Cohen at the time. And so he was having one of his talks with Prabhupada, and the book Perfect Questions, Perfect Answers, it's basically a transcription of talks between Bob Cohen and Prabhupada. And at one point, so Prabhupada was just like, making all these points that just kind of addressed all the questions. And at one point, Mr. Cohen asked, what about the Buddha?
You always want to be intelligent.
So then Prabhupada responded, what does the Buddha say? Now, Mr. Cohen, he didn't know what the Buddha said. He didn't really care what the Buddha said. He just thought that would be an intelligent thing to say to maybe delay surrender to the pure devotee.
Spark of seven.
Yeah,
Rest.
right. So with all 5 parts of the soul. So that's what you're talking about. Yes. So oftentimes, what about this one? What about this one? It's like to avoid the program that Prabhupada gave us. Oftentimes, that's the psychology. Hare Krishna. Any other comments or questions? Going once, twice, 3 times. Srimad Bhagavatam ki.
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki.
Jai.
Jai.
Shri Krishna.